Donald Trump easily defeats Nikki Haley in her home state of South Carolina during the primaries. Following his decisive victory over Nikki Haley in South Carolina, Donald Trump is now one step closer to receiving the Republican presidential nominee. The former president won the home state of his main rival by a 20-point margin, marking his fourth straight triumph. Mr. Trump did not address Ms. Haley, who had vowed to remain in the race, as he celebrated. Rather, he focused on the November general election. That will probably be a rematch in the White House with his successor. "We're going to look Joe Biden right in the eye," he declared to his supporters on Saturday night, only minutes after U.S. media had declared him the winner. "He's destroying our country, and we're going to say, 'Get out, Joe, you're fired.'" Following the results on Saturday, Mr. Trump praised the unity of his party, stating, "There's never been a spirit like this. Never before have I seen the Republican Party so cohesive." It was a change from his reaction to the New Hampshire primary last month, when he angrily denounced Ms. Haley for doing a speech like she won. In her remarks, Ms. Haley, a former popular two-term governor of South Carolina, congratulated her opponent on winning. Nonetheless, she declared that the approximately 40% of the vote she received was not some tiny group and vowed not to resign. "A significant portion of voters in our Republican primary are expressing their desire for an alternative," she stated, underscoring the fact that her prolonged campaign was unrelated to her personal political goals. "I'm not giving up this fight when a majority of Americans disapprove of both Donald Trump and Joe Biden," she said. She has reiterated her commitment to continuing the campaign through at least Super Tuesday, which is set for March 5th and involves the simultaneous casting of votes in 16 states. "I'm a woman of my word," declared the ex-UN envoy. "We're headed to Michigan tomorrow, and we're headed to the Super Tuesday states throughout all of next week." In a statement released on Saturday, the Trump campaign disregarded Ms. Haley's ongoing efforts, claiming that her delusion is clouding her judgment, and she is no longer living in reality. The former president is expected to gather enough delegates over the course of the following month to formally secure the candidacy. There isn't a clear way forward for Ms. Haley because her opponent is polling significantly ahead in all upcoming races and has a sizable advantage in the number of delegates. Nevertheless, the Haley campaign continues to exist, largely because of financial support from wealthy contributors. Even though she is up against a lot of odds, the money has been coming in. Just in January, Ms. Haley raised $16.5 million, according to campaign officials. That was significantly higher than Mr. Trump's numbers and her highest monthly total to date. Mr. Trump wasted little time in delivering his victory statement shortly after the contest was called, denying Ms. Haley the opportunity to speak before him as she had in New Hampshire, in an effort to emphasize that he feels the primary is now over. Surrounded by about 24 supporters, encompassing the majority of the state's political figures, he addressed the boisterous assembly at the Columbia State Fairgrounds, remarking, "This was a little sooner than we anticipated." Certainly, Mr. Trump has a lot to celebrate after this victory. Exit polling by CBS News, the BBC's U.S. partner, reveals that the former president beat Ms. Haley across all age groups and with both men and women. Very conservative people and white evangelicals also gave him a lot of support. Mr. Trump, who is 77 years old, thanked the crowd for their support but also said, "We have a lot of work ahead of us." The only other contender, according to 21-year-old Andre Chong, who spoke to the BBC, is Mr. Trump. He specifically mentioned taking on the unelected political regime of technocrats and bureaucrats that run Washington, D.C. "We're playing Russian roulette with a gun when it comes to the Democrats," the senior from the University of South Carolina remarked. Trump, though, is a revolver. "And once more, I want to twist the barrel." Noel Caldwell, 85, stated that Mr. Trump is a supporter of supporting the nation of Israel. Furthermore, "We strengthened our military under Trump's leadership, and he maintained border closures and low inflation. The administration is no longer handling those matters," the Lake Murray resident continued. Despite having home field advantage, Ms. Haley was unable to get traction because, in the words of Micah Ray, National Committeeman for the South Carolina Young Republicans, voters did not enjoy the way she has been criticizing Trump. He contended that she should withdraw for the sake of the party as the writing is clearly on the wall for her candidacy. On the other hand, Haley's supporters explained their ballots as a protest against demagoguery and the threat they see in Mr. Trump's ability to uphold democracy. America always likes a great underdog, and I think she's got that, Sion Owen said. Donald Trump is entangled. How much attention, with all these legal issues, can he devote to our nation? Next month, the first of the former presidents for criminal trials will begin. In addition, he is currently liable for almost $500 million due to 2 recent civil trial judgments in New York against him, one for corporate fraud and another for sexual assault and defamation. In what will probably be the most costly presidential contest in U.S. history, Mr. Biden is accumulating a sizable financial advantage over him, and Mr. Trump is depending more and more on contributions to pay his skyrocketing legal bills. It seems the Republican Party might be able to assist him. He has strengthened his position of control over it by nominating important loyalists to head its national committee. His choice to succeed him as co-chair of the Republican Party, his daughter-in-law Lara Trump, has promised to spend every penny of party funds on his legal defense.